by popular demand, I've had a lot of comments about the garden. And that was my first video we ever did. We were just putting the garden together. And really, I've been embarrassed to show the garden a little bit because of the weeds, and we haven't got rock in it, and it's still a work in progress. And so I just figured we would show it because we got a lot of things going on, a lot of things growing, a lot of things harvesting and whatnot. So here it is. So we'll start with the gates. The gates we put up, we found in a small town we were driving through. And when that's my 5-year-old son, you can hear him in the background. But anyway, we bought the gates. We found we really like the look of these. We really just fell in love with them. We saw them on the side of the road, and so we stopped at this little shop. And it was a Sunday. It was Father's Day actually, and so we bought them and hauled them home, and now they're up. The pallets right there will be chicken wire, or the chicken run going all the way to the post. We haven't really, right now it just needs to be a barrier to keep the deer out. I found deer tracks through the garden, and really they didn't hop my fence. They just walked right up the middle because these were not in place. So now I'll take you on a tour of everything. We'll start on this side because this is where I have things happening. So we'll start with this first bed. We'll give a shot of all of it. So this is the first bed of tomatoes. I don't know what kind these are really, because my parents had tomatoes, and they had cherry tomatoes, and they had the big beefsteak tomatoes, and they gave me what they had, but they weren't marked. So I said, yeah, well, sure, I'll plant them. The thing with these, oh, there we go. So these look like beefers, big beefers, beefsteaks. Anyway, so these don't look like they're doing as well, really, because the length or the depth of my soil, I got it pretty deep over here, but pretty shallow over here. So I think that's a big deal of why things aren't going well. I also, to keep the weeds down, I put shredded paper in the block. And then in between the beds, there will be block. And there will be rock. The rock you can see at the other end. I have some. And this is our eggplant. She's doing pretty good. We got a little eggplant there. And more tomatoes. We put the cattle panels up today. We've been gone for about a week or so. And so we just put the cattle panels up to keep them from falling over. I wasn't going to put tomato cages, thank you. Tomato cages around everything because I just wasn't. There are too many plants for that when I just have fencing. So this is the beans. And we have some good little beans growing in here. This is a good crop of beans.
We just harvested.
Right. You can probably harvest those. I had the kids eating them, just picking them right out of here. So then we go to the bed that's not as good looking. I got some carrots. These are my 3 carrots that came up. I really think the problem has been my neglect. I haven't watered them so well. And they're not deep. I did not put enough soil in these beds for really, I think, them to take off. And so these are our pepper plants, and they look kind of sad just because, again, we've been gone and I haven't watered. They look a little sad, but I watered. They've been watered. They'll be fine. And they look a little sporadic because this is probably kind of just threw them out there. This is my last bed I planted. I was like, no, just throw it out there. We'll be good. The kids helped. And these are my peas. These are my beautiful peas. The kids were eating them off the vine. I have a lot of them. Oh, I have a lot of them right here.
There you go.
Go ahead and, oh, this one's better. So the pea plant the plants I ran the string across so they could climb up it. And again, we put shredded paper. My mother-in-law works in an office, and she hooked me up with shredded paper, kind of just to keep the weeds down in the blocks. So we don't have weeds in the beds, but we have lots of weeds between and around the blocks and things. And then these are our beets. They're doing good. And then my cucumbers. The cucumbers, when they were, a few inches high and they started trying to climb each other, we took these fences and bent them through the beds and had them climb them so they'd be easier. Oh, look at that! There he is.
There's a gherkin right there.
Nice, a little one. Yep. Okay. So then we go to this huge bed of tomatoes. This is the bed that had the most soil in it because it's a shorter bed because of the building here. Our chicken coop is right here. So with the deep soil in it, that's, I'm pretty sure, what is the cause of my huge tomato plants over here. And so they're all over. They were falling over, and there are tomato cages in here just because it got out of control pretty quick. So the tomato cages are there, but you can't really see them. And then some of them started toppling over, so we put this, like, another gate just to keep them over kind of on each other, so at least the wind doesn't knock them. And then we start on the other side. You can see this is the first rock alley. I call them the walkways in between the beds. We rocked them. And so far it's been working out really well. We had the cloth, the weed barrier cloth going. That ripped just because if you don't put anything on it right away, it's going to. So then we went to feed bags. So we had the weed cloth, and then I put a layer of feed bags, and these are my feed bags for the chickens. So I put a layer down, and then we just, for the rock, the kids and I take the truck and we go to the local quarry. I say I need a little under a ton, and then they'll hook me up. And then the kids and I unload it. And so this bed was obviously all onions. I had the onions going. My husband harvested yesterday, and then they're laid out to dry. And then this bed, I actually just put coffee grounds in, and that's what is in these little holes. This is the coffee filters. My husband brought them from work. They had the guys save them, and so a giant bag of coffee grounds. And so I mixed that all in, anything to help with fertilizer and things. And I won't reseed this bed. So this bed is done for the year. I think, unless I find something else that I really, can't live without. And then we go onto this bed. And so the kids, we have a lot of pine trees around the farm. And so it really drives me crazy when all of the weeds come up through the block. So I said, why don't you guys bring me some pine cones and we'll put little weed bombs in each of the block. So the problem with pine cones is this is a seed. So I've seen little bits of, when I'm weeding, I see little pine cone shoots coming up. Oh, here's one. Here's a little bitty one. Ooh. This is a little pine cone shoot coming up from me using the pine cones as weed bombs. But here's my broccoli. The garden has not had any dusting. I haven't put any pesticides or herbicides on anything. Really, I haven't done that just because I'm lazy and I just don't want to. And so I do have leaf damage. I expect probably to have little green worms in my broccoli. But again, you soak them in a little bit of vinegar, apple cider vinegar when you bring them in, and they'll be fine. And then my other broccoli, we've harvested this bed had a bunch of lettuce in it. And so I've harvested that off. And to harvest it, those pieces, I pulled them straight up out of the ground, roots and all. And these, all I did was snap them off. If you cut them at the base, they will go ahead and regrow leaves. So I like that. We'll have lettuce the whole time. That's nice. And so here's our rock, and there'll be rock all down the center, is the end game, or the end plan. So my broccoli head's ready to harvest. And then we have one that got away from me. It was ready to harvest probably a week ago, and I did not get out here and harvest it. Obviously it's gone to seed, which it's kind of, I am interested to see if it will just reseed itself. So this is my experiment going on. If it is blooming like this and things, I'm assuming that it will just reseed. And it has its little, you have this little one and this little one are coming. And again, look at that leaf. It's completely eaten. My parents said that go ahead and just pull them out. When my parents came to look at them, they said that these leaves won't produce anything. If you have a plant that's been eaten this badly, it won't produce anything. I don't know. I said I'm going to try it out. Obviously it didn't probably produce as well as it should have. That's not a very big head on it, but we'll see. And these don't look as bad, these guys. And then this is my hodgepodge perennial bed. I wanted herbs, so they had these on sale at the hardware store. So I have some parsley, I have some thyme and some cilantro. The cilantro went to seed already. Some chives, my strawberries, which I had the kids were antsy to pick the strawberries. And then I have some perennial onions, the spreading perennial onions. So obviously I'm not going to leave all of these in one bed together. They can't be left together really because they'll fight each other. I mean, the onions will spread, my tomato or my strawberries will spread. So really I just put this all in the ground together just this year before I needed them to start producing and not just live in their little containers. So these will have to be moved and things. And then this bed, I had radishes up front, and we had 2 crops of radishes off of this, and then I just planted maybe 5 seeds that I had left in the container or left in the little bag. And then I had lettuce down here. And so again, I just cut them, I harvested heads, I just cut them instead of pulling them completely out, and then they're growing back, which is nice because then you can harvest the leaves, a few leaves at a time for your salad. And then these 2 beds are where our potatoes were, and I just replanted them, actually. A lot of people leave their potatoes in the ground to store them there. And I say, and this is our second basket of these. So I had white potatoes and I had the red. And so we pulled them out because I want to reuse this bed. And so really, a lot of people say it's too late to plant. I would disagree. I planted squash because if you look on the back, the harvest right here, days to maturity, it's 42 days. I have 42 days before the first frost, so I can still get a harvest off this one. And this one has zucchini or summer squash. That's again, I think that's a 57 days to maturity. So from now, count 57 days, I should be able to get a harvest off of it, hopefully. And so really the point is I don't want to leave any of these beds empty, except for the back one, which I am starting to put fertilizer in, starting to build back a lot of what I took out, what the plants already took out. So, and those are the kids over there. And so this is what we do with our weeds. When we're weeding, we throw them to the chickens and see what they're gonna peck and scratch through. But really, I like that the pigs are real close to the garden in proximity because we throw our weeds out here and they are like, awesome, what's this? Let me nose through this. What do we got going on here? And that's why they're on dirt, because this was nice grass, but they have overtaken it, which they will, and we expected. So eventually they will be moved, but in the meantime, we'll keep them happy with my garden scraps.
Pigs.
Look at those tails wagging. They're so happy. Happy piggies. And so in proximity, you have the garden right here. You have the chicken coop, our one pig pen with 10 in there, the big pig pen with the 16, and this was a jungle, but they've knocked it down. And so last year when we had pigs in here, we would throw our scraps in there for the pigs, and that included pumpkins. And so that included corn, which is why we have our volunteer corn. And so this year we have volunteer plants. And all we had last year were pumpkins thrown out here. And so we have this giant guy. And then we have, I'm trying to look for the other ones in here. We have these. I'm not entirely sure about what we have. Just because I know these are two different plants. You have this one and this one, but as to what they are, I don't know. Oh, look at that spider. Oh, gross. So yeah, we have a lot, and the corn, the pigs. And anytime they're just looking for food. I come up to the fence, anybody coming close to the fence, and they're right there. They're like, what do you got? Food, food. This is my guy. So we come out as a family to work in the garden, and he gets in his farm stroller, and then he is just tuckered out. He's had so much weeding and harvesting, and oh, he's like, what's going on, Mom? What's going on? Oh, what are you doing? Good morning. Oh. Stretch big. Oh. Maybe it's time we go inside. Yeah. Oh.